following program is intended for mature audiences.
It's the music, movies, and shows you love.
As if we care.
And hate.
You ain't gonna like it none.
And love to hate.
I didn't expect that at all.
This is The Broken Remote.
Coming to you live on tape on this Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023. It is the Broken Remote here as we return not to talk about Velma. Thank God. Yes. We have gotten off that ship. Although we'll probably come back to it sporadically, for sure.
Mindy Kaling is one of those demons that will just keep emerging just years down the line. You know, like the one that haunts like a family for generations.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she is. Yeah. You can't get her.
She's a stickler. She's a stickler. You can't get rid of her, right?
You walk by the mirror one day in your house and you just see the shadow of her on the wall and you go, what was that? And you look back, it's gone. But you know she's following you constantly.
The terrible, like, drunk aunt or drunk uncle at the family occasions that you just, you know she's going to show or he's going to show and you just can't get rid of her.
You make the most innocuous comment and all of a sudden she goes, well, I don't know what your problem is with I almost said Dahmer. I was gonna go for like some socialist dude.
You lost yourself in your own thoughts.
Exactly. I was thinking Dahmer came up. I was trying to think of who's that guy, Che Guevara, the one that like everyone has on a T-shirt.
Who's Che Guevara?
He's the guy from Cuba who helped liberate Cuba that you'll see on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Every college girl's T-shirt where he's got his little beret and they're like, this is who I support. And I'm like, do you know what his backstory is? Because it's kind of fucked up.
Well, the Dahmer was super hot only because he just, came through in the Dahmer series. What was the Dahmer series named again? I saw like 2 or 3 episodes Dahmer, and I never finished it. Yeah, it might have been. I don't know.
You know who watches that show? You know who's the most interested? Every girl I've ever met. I don't understand why women of all people are just like, yeah, fucking serial killers are my favorite thing to research. They are fascinated. I love it too, but they're way more into it than I am.
Well, you know what's weird about that show, and I guess a lot of streaming content at this point, is that it just doesn't have legs, right? Like, people watch it and they talk about it nonsensically for what, like 2 months, 3 months, and then you never hear about it again. Like, it's over.
Yeah.
Right, like Dahmer, it was all over the news. It was all over TV. It was on every podcast. I haven't heard anybody talk about Dahmer in, like, forever.
It's what's so weird with these streaming things because, I mean, they're pumping out so much content and so little of it is actually good. And if it is, like like that Wednesday show, I watched a few episodes. That's not my boat, but like that was just like Dahmer, where you couldn't get away from it for a few weeks.
Yeah, my youngest son watched it. He loved it. I tried to sit through like one episode, an episode and a half. I couldn't do it.
Same here. Yeah, that was exact. I was like maybe 2, and then I was like, I just don't get the appeal. Like, it's not a show for me. I could see the merit. It's not like some other stuff we're going to talk about where I'm like, this is fucking hot garbage. But there's so many streaming platforms now, and there's on all of them, there's like 2 shows that you can go back and watch.
Yeah, at any given time, they've got a couple of hot shows, and then it's just filled up with hot shit, right? I mean, and we were talking about this way back in the day when we were both working together, when it was like they would just start pumping out shows, and it was like, wow, you know what? Now they're doing these shows in volume. And this is when it was like, what? We're talking about 2016 to 2019.
Something like that, yeah.
And that's like Netflix only. Maybe Hulu was around.
Yeah, it was Netflix's heyday.
It was like Netflix's heyday.
Everything was
there. Disney Plus hadn't even come around yet. I think Disney Plus might have been at the very, very end of that.
They were still ruining Star Wars before they could really focus on ruining streaming, I think, at that point.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I got to look to see, but I don't think Disney Plus was around when we were working. But Netflix definitely was. I know Hulu was, but Hulu wasn't pumping out a lot of content. Prime Video was there, but it stunk.
There was even less on there then than there is now. I mean, they have The Boys, which is a good show.
Solid.
They have that. I'm not sure if you watched it, but it's very similar to The Boys, but they kind of go a different direction with it. It's called Invincible. It's based on these comics made by the guy that did Walking Dead.
I've seen it. I have not watched it.
It's really good. It's animated, so I think it throws some people off. So like my mom, who I mean, she goes, "Oh, it's animated. That means it's going to be bad." It's like, no, it's actually a really good show, very similar to The Boys. But for some reason, because I guess Disney had its heyday in the '90s, everyone goes, "It's drawn, oh, children."
Right. Yeah. Well, I
But,
mean, there has
yeah.
been an infinite amount of cartoon content pumped out over the past, I'd say, 8 years.
Yeah,
I
like
mean-
Velma. Yeah,
Like Velma, yeah. I mean, they definitely gone down that Velma. I mean, if you want to go back, right? There was South Park was kind of like Simpsons, I guess, was more or less
Yeah.
the leader of it, right? And then there's South Park, Family Guy, American Dad, King of the Hill, and then you get into like the newer ages where you're looking at, Archer came around, which is pretty good.
Oh, Archer was good. Yeah, I like
Archer was good. The only thing that threw me off was the lead, whatever that actor's name is. The lead voice for Archer is also the lead voice for the Bob's Burger guy.
Oh yeah, H. John Benjamin. Yeah,
Is that his name?
definitely-
Yeah,
it's his
he's
name. Yeah,
fucking awesome.
He's awesome, man. He's one of those actors like, oh, you have range. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, Archer
good
was a great
character.
character too.
Yeah.
And he was a great character. And now it's like, I mean, at that point, when Apple Plus has got a couple of cartoons, Netflix has got our cartoons, both adult and for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's cartoons left and right. But anyway, we got a little in the weeds right out of the gate. But
Yeah. That's the appeal of this podcast, is that you can be sure that 5 minutes later we will never be on the same topic we guaranteed we're going to talk about.
no, but we always come back. We always come
come
back.
We're good at that.
We
We're
do.
good at that. We find our way back to the highway no matter how many weird roundabouts we take.
Right. So I mean,
Yeah.
this whole thing went downhill talking about Dahmer and flash in the pan Netflix shows, But I'll let you, before we keep going down that route, because we did have a mission going into this one.
Yeah.
We were talking about getting into South Park when we left off last episode. Same bad time, same bad channel. But we'll pause on the South Park only because the biggest event to hit this past weekend was obviously the continuation of the MCU.
Oh my God, dude.
I have not seen it. From everything I heard, I wanted to spend the $20 to go watch it, and then I was like, you know what? From everything I read, I really wish I still had Kodi and Cinema HD, and I wish I still was pirating the shit out of everything, because this would have been that movie. This would have been the movie to pirate, from what I heard. You saw it.
I really think you'll hate it when you watch it. Okay, just for full disclosure, the movie is Ant-Man 3, and I'm calling it Ant-Man 3 because Ant-Man
Not going Quantamania?
No. I'm not calling it Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, because the Wasp is barely in the movie. Like, her name,
really?
Dude, this is the first time I've ever written notes about something. Even Velma, like, that was just fresh in my mind. But this one, there's just so much.
You taking notes?
Hours, dude.
What are you doing? Have fun in life, sir.
Yeah, I know. This is so. Quick background: I did not do this by choice. I was with a bunch of friends this weekend. We were down in Daytona. We went to the 500 there.
Whoa, hold on. Let's just rewind a little bit. You were in Daytona and you saw this? I thought you were sitting home in New York.
No.
In shitty weather, doing nothing.
No, we just did a crazy weekend this last weekend. So I did Epcot we got destroyed at Epcot, and then the next day went to Daytona.
Did you go to the 500?
Yep, we were there.
Wow. Oh, I watched the end of it.
Fucking wild, dude. So here's the thing.
Did you stay through the entire thing all the way through all the overtimes?
Oh, yes, we did. It was crazy. So the thing about NASCAR, first 180 laps, like, I was falling asleep. It's the most boring thing ever, because they're veering by. There's a lot of loud sounds, but it just gets kind of like,
there's nothing to do.
And
drink, but there's nothing to really watch.
Yeah, but there's like nothing really happening. But the last 20 is when they get desperate, and that's when they're making their final pushes. And dude, when the cars were like exploding and crashing into each other, my friends and I were turning to each other like, I get it now. I get it. Okay, this totally makes sense why this is a sport.
Well, so I've never been to a NASCAR race. I've been to shitty dirt track races with my dad back in the day up in Orangeburg, New York and shit. But I've never been to a Daytona, never been to NASCAR or anything like that. Now, when they're on the other side of the track, right? I mean, you just can't see anything. Not that there's much to see, right? I mean, they're just making left-hand turns.
We were super low to the ground, so we like apparently the higher up seats are better to get, which we didn't know. We were like, oh, we'll be right near the action, which means you're going to go deaf and like the tires are like rubbing off and like you're getting tire flakes.
Was it a big ticket?
It wasn't that bad from what I. My friend's gonna stop calling. No, it wasn't that bad from what I like understand it could have been, because we got it super fucking last minute. Like we literally planned it maybe last Tuesday. When we're just like, this is our weekend.
I mean, if you had asked me, ex-ticket broker, I would have told you to buy them late anyway. I mean, that's when you should buy all your tickets.
Yeah.
Don't buy tickets until as late as you possibly can. Maybe not the day of the event, because then it gets a little funky, but...
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of questionable people with their signs like, just need one more ticket to get by.
Yeah. You know, if you really want to throw the dice. Because historically speaking, when I worked at that ticket broker, what would happen is you try to unload all the tickets, you price them high at the front end. As time expires, you keep lowering them based on whatever. And then in the end, you're just stuck with a handful of tickets, and they usually hand them off to a street guy. Right, and that's the guy that walks the parking lot, trying to dump them. And then, that guy puts whatever in his pocket and gives the rest back to, said broker. And, that's the knock-up. So
yeah, but I saw so many more mullets than I ever have in my life. I never realized there was
I'm sure it's fucking Daytona, dude.
This southern hatred of Kyle Busch, who's this one driver who they accuse of being a northerner. He's from Wyoming. But the entire time, like he was in first for like that last little bit in the first.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
And then the entire crowd I was like, fuck Kyle Busch, fuck him.
Really? What is the crowd like? Is it really southern?
It's a mix. It's just because it's just this excuse to just watch people get just wild. And but where we were, because I guess they're the more lower class seats. We got a fun southern dudes like around us. It really was, dude. Like it was just, like there was just a bunch of guys with mullets just stringing Pabst Blue Ribbon around me, and there's this one dude with this mullet like, yeah, fuck you, Kyle Busch. and then like when that first crash, I was like, fuck. He's like, fuck yeah, look at that crash, 20 minutes overtime, baby. And it turns out he was right.
Right. Well, did you know anything about the overtime before you?
I knew nothing about how it worked. We figured it out as it was happening.
Oh yeah.
We had no experience. We just thought this is going to be a fun day thing for the weekend. Yeah, and we were right.
It was kind of crazy because now I was talking to my dad. So because my dad owned not a stock car, but it was either a dirt car or something way back in the day, a long, long time ago. And anyway, so I used to watch all the automotive shit with him. Indy 500, Daytona 500, right? Like, and back in the day, like people used to follow that. Like it was like one of the bigger sports, right? Like everybody got Sports Illustrated, Sporting News. You used to watch the Big Four. People knew tennis players. People knew fucking race car, Indy 500, shit like that. Like Mario Andretti was like a reference term, right? Like,
it's such an interesting. I feel like people don't have any respect for it now, at least like in New York. Like it is a wild, entertaining thing to check out, but they're not athletes, I think, in the way that, like when you look at a football player and you think athlete, that is not comparable to the Ricky Bobby-esque figures people you've seen at these things. They're still insane though, because they're going like 2.5 miles every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean they're capping out. They were showing on the TV, the top speeds, which is about $190, right? So they're doing $190, down these straightaways and around these turns.
Yeah,
I mean it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I would pass out from fear at like 150. There's just no way.
I would love. I know that you can actually like rent cars on a track and have professional drivers, take you around and like try to top out around 150 to 170. I doubt they go up to 190. But
dude, I did this NASA ride at Epcot. Like it was the last thing we did at Epcot, and they just put some G's on you. And apparently, this is my reason for being a wuss. But apparently, I think it hits taller people harder. And so I just, like, there's these children that are, like, 5 years old walking up this ride. Like, wow, that was fun. And then there's me and these, like, two other dudes like 6'3" plus, who are just, we get off the ride and we're going, wow, I don't feel good. This is
Really?
And like, so I ended up like vomiting
Whoopsie.
like viciously as we're leaving Epcot with my
You
friends.
vomited?
Oh, I was, dude, that killed me more than any of the stuff we were
pathetic.
drinking.
Yuck.
Dude, you don't understand.
Up Chuck boy.
We were drinking all day, and I was fine until that ride. And that ride, it just treats you like you're a Coca-Cola bottle. It's like, hey, let's see how you're doing.
You're stepping off and just thinking to yourself,
Obviously a major malfunction.
I've made a huge mistake. Just the whole
I
way back.
immediately regret this decision.
Yeah, my friends they're just like, oh, you're getting a lot quieter. How are you feeling? I'm like, I am not feeling good. Oh my God, this happened very suddenly. But if that's how I felt after that NASA ride at Epcot, there's no way I'm surviving in an actual race car. There's no way.
Yeah.
I would be done so fast.
I would imagine it feels like something else, to actually be doing 190 in one of those stock cars. But they've changed it, and so over the years, I did not know it, but I was talking to my dad, and I thought for sure, because the accidents were happening late, I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to finish under yellow. And he was like, well, no, they have overtime now. And I'm like, oh, shit, I really haven't watched NASCAR long enough. And so, point of the story was that, when they crash so late, they do this overtime thing where they won't finish under caution. They'll wait to clear the track. They'll start it up, and then there'll be, 2 more laps or whatever. The green lap, the white flag, green flag, white flag, and then
Dude,
the
I
checker
still
flag.
don't understand it.
And so, to your point, when you said that they just started crashing, at the end, it was like they had 3 or 4 of these where they tried to restart the race, and sure enough, people are trying to make their moves, and they're crashing on like the second of the last lap.
Crazy.
And then they had to do it again. And then when they finally ended it, they just kind of ended it. They were like, "Fuck it, we're done."
It was. I mean, I thought it was funny because we didn't realize that dude was near the front. He was there for like 5 seconds. And also, there's like this point system to NASCAR. So even if you win the actual Daytona 500, there's like these different stages to it, and there's like points you win for winning a specific stage. So I don't understand it. I'm not gonna try to understand it.
I think it's basically kind of like the WWE where it's like the start of the season. Right, like everything starts. With wrestling, it's like WrestleMania either starts it or ends it. It's like their Super Bowl. I think it's like the start of the season. Is so. Anyway, Daytona, I believe, is the start of the season, and now they continue on. But Daytona is usually the biggest of the whole bunch. But it was as big of a drinking, environment as they picture it.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we didn't really buy
describe
any. We bought my friends bought some drinks, but they're so chill about it. Where you just have this backpack clearly stuffed to the brim with alcohol, and they go, I don't care, go on in there. Like it's just they know why you're here, which I respect.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do they have anything to do on the inside other than sit your ass in the seat under the sun and drink?
It's like going to MetLife Stadium where you go inside. I mean, they have these weird like NASCAR-esque shops in there too, but they've got like a bunch of those regular food stands, and I mean the bathroom.
But it's bleachers, cars, and a track.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it's really all about.
Do they have tailgating as well? I imagine that's
there
big.
Was. I don't know. I don't know. We checked that out for like a second, but we just were like, "Fuck it, let's go actually in there."
Man, you guys really planned this out well.
Yeah, we did. We literally, dude. It was literally like a Tuesday. We're like, dude, what if we do this? We didn't. I wasn't even going to Florida last weekend until like Wednesday, talking to my friends. Like, fuck it.
Did you drive, or did you end up just buying tickets and flying?
I just bought a ticket. Yeah, before my new job starts. I'm just let's do some weird stuff before I become an adult again.
How'd you make out with a late-minute Florida jet ticket?
Not that bad, but it was Spirit, and Spirit.
Spirit's all right.
What you lack in price, they make up for in just sheer inconvenience of everything else. So if you get delayed like 3 hours, and then you sit in the plane, and it's basically one of those plastic stools that you sat on in first grade. And they're just like, is everyone here? Sit down, please. And then it's just the most rickety thing held together with duct tape you've ever been on in your life. But otherwise, pretty reasonable.
Otherwise, it's fantastic. Yeah, we flew it with the
it's great.
kids, and I remember it was like holy hell. It was like the old '80s TV shows and movies where it's like a whole family just trying to pack everybody into some shitty station wagon. It's just this station wagon has wings.
Yeah, like at this point, your carry-on shouldn't be a backpack with like toiletries or like new clothes. It should really just be another parachute in a backpack because there's a chance you will need it.
Yeah. Well, did you ever fly? Maybe not. There was an airline called TED. Do you remember TED?
No.
I Google it, but
Ted's.
Ted's whole approach was, and I'm pretty sure it was TED, but I think they were like a derivative of United or something else. But anyway, TED Airlines' whole thing was, we're funny motherfuckers. So when you sit down, not only are our employees stewards and stewardesses, but they're also comedians. So
they got a tight five. They got to work out right now. I just want to sleep. Too bad.
Exactly. So they just would get up there, and their whole spiel about your life preserver, and it was all jokey. It was jokey all the way through.
Oh boy.
When you're flying it, you're kind of like, you know what? I for like 5 minutes this was really cool, but then I'm also wondering, like, what happens if this fucking plane goes down, right? Like, is this the crowd that I want, like, standing next to me trying to direct me to the exit?
Remember to put your head between your knees and say a prayer, hey, because you're dead. You're done. Like, that is no chance.
And if we go down, you're going to be having a bad time.
Gonna have a bad time. Like, can you please take this seriously? Too bad.
We're going down right now. I know that you were here with your family and your kids. You might want to give them a big kiss because this is not going to be a good time.
Everybody remember to jump up right before we hit the ground. It might save you. It's like, oh my God.
Take a deep breath, and that way you can hold your breath under water for that much longer.
I mean, think about like catching a red eye or something when you're just like, finally I get to leave this business trip. I'm so tired. I'm just going to close my eyes really quickly. And then you just hear one of those, This is one of those guys like, hey, I can do some juggling in front of you. Looks like someone's a little tired Gus over here. Well, if you'll stand up here for my quick little comedy sesh.
Reach up into the overhead, grab yourself a banjo, all of a sudden start playing along.
Hey, what's
Did he
your
just
name?
play fucking Deliverance?
Hey, what's your name? Rich? Well, Rich, let's do a little song. Oh, I met Rich. It wasn't a ditch. And you just go, I hate this place.
Stuart, why'd you just play fucking Deliverance? What the hell are you trying to do? Oh, nothing. Don't worry.
And then you just notice them just stealing Eddie Murphy jokes. Like, I know what you're doing.
Hey, Ralph Cramden Norton, I know you've been watching me, and I've been watching you.
Yeah.
I know you've been watching me. Anyway, rewind. We'll go back. So you go down to Daytona covered, but somewhere along the lines, did you get shitty weather, or you were like, I'm just dying to see Ant-Man 3?
So we made the plan, so we're leaving there, and we go, because this place was insanely packed, and so we just basically realized as we're leaving Daytona, we're going to be stuck here for 2 hours in either traffic, or we could just go see a movie. And there was a movie theater right by us.
Oh, no shit.
And so we're just thinking, where we parked at least, and we're going, okay, we know that it's supposed to be bad. Let's go watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, so I mean,
yeah, so it was sort of, it just worked out incredibly well. And then we watched this movie.
Yeah, so you called an audible. That's what you did.
Exactly. And my one friend John slept through half of it, half because he was tired and half because of how bored he was. Oh, and my other friend Alex was just watching it with the same sort of really that I was checking it out with. And it's just, oh my God. Okay.
Well, let's dive in. You have notes. Let me.
Oh my God.
Let me just fire off a couple of questions right out of the gate. Right. So it was not good by your own admission, but
no, it's not.
I guess my first question was, why wasn't it good? I know that's
I have that all outlined here, buddy.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Well,
Oh, I have it.
don't let me stop you. Because there are like some things are just bad and there's not a reason for it. It's like I can't describe it. It's just fucking bad. And other things you're like, no, the acting sucked. The cinematography was terrible. I don't know where the fucking director got this fucking approval from. There's no money behind the film, right? Like
I can boil it. So the plot's kind of the plot is very standard formulaic Marvel. Like it's just like, have you seen a Marvel movie before? You've seen this movie before. Like congratulations, there are no spoilers. They had a chance to do something kind of cool. I'm not sure how spoilery you want me to get with this. I will get
at this point, I just spoil away because to be completely honest, it's now past the first weekend.
Yeah.
I heard it sucked. I know I can go and watch the post credit scenes online on like YouTube. I've thought a lot about just pirating it because I'm not going to pay the money to go see it in the theater. I've heard it was so bad or bad enough that it's not worth the money. So go ahead and spoil it.
Okay,
There's nothing keeping me.
I'm going to go. I'll just start with something that was nice because the biggest issue with this movie was the characters. Like these fucking characters, man. But I'll start off with the two good things about the movie, which were ironically the main protagonist and antagonist. They were actually solid.
Being Ant-Man and Kang, I imagine?
Exactly. That's exactly who it was. So, like, Paul Rudd, I mean, he's just playing Paul Rudd again as Scott Lang.
I mean, that's him.
But it works. And so, like, despite all, like, this kind of ridiculousness that's going on with the character in the MCU, he's the most grounded character, as ridiculous as that sounds. Considering, he's gone to space and fought Thanos. He seems like the most. This is a person that could exist in the real world.
I've thought the same thing as I've been rewatching the older movies.
Yeah,
right. Because I mean, and I think that's probably because they just let Paul Rudd be Paul Rudd, and that's his whole approach to everything.
It's working out great for him.
I mean, fantastic. Right? He was the sexiest man alive 2 years ago, too.
Oh, was he? Oh,
he's gotten so many weird accolades.
I love him. He really was, like, thank God he was the main part of this movie because he really tried to salvage what he could. Because every other character in this movie, I'm going to get into this later, they're all these ridiculous fucking geniuses of, like, ridiculous proportions and we talked about this before, but in the first Iron Man movie, like Tony Stark, he's an asshole, but he's this great engineer and he makes this kind of believable suit that's like, it's got all these, it takes him like 5 minutes to put this on or take
yes,
off,
originally.
And all it can do is fly. And like the beam he shot out of it was by accident. Like that wasn't even supposed to happen. It was just like, oh, it does that. Cool. All right.
Right.
And then it later gets as ridiculous as it does, which is the problem with every other character in this movie. But he's really good, Paul Rudd. He cares about his family. He's got some really like good like, hey, he's a hero and I believe why he's like doing these things. Like, okay, this works for me. And then there's Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Yes. He's awesome. The new big bad.
He's awesome. He plays it super seriously, which I feel like is very refreshing for Marvel, considering how every other supervillain's like, wiggity waggity quippity quip.
All right, hold on. Got to cut you off. Let me ask you this question before you go into the accolades for Jonathan Majors, because I know that he's done a phenomenal job. You've kind of heard it and seen it everywhere. The Kang character. Yes. Is it going to be enough to fuel the next two MCU phases or one or however many? Because this eventually ends with like the Kang Avengers Kang Dynasty. Yeah. So this is the guy.
So I'm not sure. Like, so spoiler alert, he kind of dies at the end, but I'm not sure.
But there's like 8 million of them.
Exactly. But then Kang the Conqueror, I know in the comics is like the main one. So that's why I'm thinking. And like, he's dead, but who's really ever dead in a Marvel movie?
Right.
So I'm sure that one will pop back up at some point.
Well, he's
I
already
hope-
died in. Did you watch Loki? Yes or no?
I know he was in it, or like a different version of him, or something.
Yeah, another Kang was in it. This was called the man at the man who at the end, or the man who, the man that remains, or something like that.
Yeah, something cool.
Yeah. Anyway, he died because Loki, not Loki, but Loki the girl, stabbed him, killed him, and so that was what broke the timelines, right?
Of course, yeah. Why not?
That's how the Loki thing factors into everything, right?
Yeah, hold that while I pass out from how boring that sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Which then had downstream effects, which I don't think we fully understood yet, or whatever, and it just goes into all kinds of crazy shit. But anyway, but is Kang big enough? Because Thanos was.
He's basically, I think, like a regular dude unless he has his superpower suit, and when he has the superpower suit, he's super threatening. Like him in the first 2 acts of the movie.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he's a human, right?
Yeah.
That discovered time travel and everything, and he's a scientist, and then he went back in time and he met all the other different versions of himself.
Yeah, so in this one, he basically just has like Star Wars-esque technology at his disposal, like compared to everyone else who almost has Star Wars, but he's like somehow
unexplained.
It's just he's got even more advanced technology than everybody else,
and it's unexplained.
He just has it. For whatever reason, he just has it. But he in the first 2 acts, he's super threatening, with like very imposing. Like people will try to do like the regular Marvel quips with him. And he's like, "I've killed Avengers in other universes. Your threats mean nothing to me." He tortures people to like make them do what he wants. And then the third act, they kind of have like this ridiculous Deus Ex Machina that they'll talk about later that is infuriatingly stupid. But like, he's really cool. And then eventually he loses his superpower suit, and he's like fighting Ant-Man mano a mano, and like Ant-Man, so it's just them doing like a regular fist fight, and he just wipes the floor with Paul Rudd, which was really cool. Like it's just like a regular fist fight, and he's still just walking all over Paul Rudd, just fucking him up. But like, I don't know if he's Thanos level, considering how he still basically got beaten, and now there's clearly like a bigger threat.
Does he have an empire? Does he have legions of people?
He had like they're like basically stormtroopers or something, and like this particular Kang, but he's apparently they pulled the Rick and Morty thing where it's like Rick and Morty took it from here, where there's like multiple universes of Kangs, and they're all pals with each other.
Yes,
but this one went rogue, and they don't like him, so they kicked him out of the club, and like that's kind of his backstory is him trying to get back at the other versions of himself who punished him.
Oh, okay. All right.
So maybe the other one's a little more threatening because there's like 10 million of them, but I don't know.
I read that from one of the people that it was like, oh yeah, and then he got into his whole whiny bitching like that. Oh, like I just out for revenge for everybody that fucking banished me here, and then it was like, oh, okay, this has been done 8 million times.
Listen, I saw that too, and like I had no problem with that because the other flaws of this movie are so fucking glaring that, like, honestly, it could have been Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors just stubbing their toes the entire movie, and that would have been so much infinitely better than all the other stuff going on. Like,
all right. Well, before we get to this all the other stuff going on,
it's so bad.
I derailed you because you were talking about Jonathan Winters. So you were saying that he was good, right? And then I asked you about Kang. So let's go back to him and his performance instead.
Yeah, I mean he's just great. I mean the ending, that like end cutscene that shows all the different versions of him, and then he gets a little weird with it. But like him as Kang the Conqueror, really solid, very cool villain. I wish he won to some degree in this movie to prove what a threat he was, like to prove that even just one version of this dude like won't be stopped by, like he even says at one point, he's like, "You think you're a threat to me? All you do is talk to ants." And then he still somehow ends up losing at the end of the day.
Well, he's on a tear, both in the MCU
Creed, right?
and like professionally, because he's going to be in like everything, right? So he's going to be in Creed 2, and he's going to be or Creed 3, and then he's scheduled. If you go on his IMDb, it looks like he's going to be scheduled to be in a whole bunch of shit. So
yeah,
but he's going to be in the MCU now for what, the next 4 years?
I'm sure something like that. I mean, to Phase 9000 or whatever they have planned
Right.
until these movies
I
stop
think this wraps up in 2006, the next 3 years or whatever. So
Yeah, oh, God help us.
So anyway, so Winters does some heavy lifting. Rudd does some heavy lifting. You know, those actors are all right. The rest of the characters are just kind of hot garbage.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna go for the neutral ones kind of now, because this is really the biggest plot. Because like all the issues with the plot itself is just like, it's like if you have a problem with the Marvel movie plots being formulaic at this point, you're not gonna like this one.
Yeah, but it's every fucking Marvel movie now. So
and this one also really is just kind of like, why isn't this Star Wars? Like, it's just in this other universe. They have spaceships. There's stormtroopers there. It's literally Star Wars, but they're like, no, it's a Marvel movie in the quantum verse. And you're going, this is like, you have aliens speaking their weird languages. You have the Muppets. Just make it Star Wars, dude. Like, clearly, this is written for the wrong thing.
Well, you know that there is that conspiracy theory that they are trying to figure out a way to merge the two. They're trying to.
It's going to be for the Quantumverse if they do it, dude. It is just. My God.
Which was funny when everybody started talking about that this is the Star Wars of the MCU, because I was like, well, maybe that's how they link the whatever, in Lucasfilm over to the MCU is through this. Which, oddly enough, another, just derailing the segment.
No, it's not.
I'm watching Back to the Future with my two kids 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And we fire it up, and as the credits are rolling in the beginning, and they're blasting "Huey Lewis in the News," and it's Power Love. All of a sudden, on the executive producers, it's Steven Spielberg, some dude, and then, if you believe it, it is Kathleen Kennedy. And
dude, she's been around for a while. My God.
Forever. Now, I had to go back. She's 69 years old. And so I was like, well, that's like 40 years ago, so she's got to be 20-something. And so then I looked up, and I think it was like her second or third executive producer, but I was like, how did she even get into it that young? And she was married to one of the Marshalls, one of the Marshall produced. Damn it! I'm gonna forget now. I forgot it. Frank Marshall, but a big Hollywood guy. So she like married into Hollywood. That's how she got her shit.
This is her husband.
When she was younger. That's how she got into it originally. Because, I mean, she was like 20 and change. And it was like, you don't just like wake up and be a 20 and change girl and, producing next to fucking, Steven Spielberg and shit and Amblin Entertainment. Like you had to come from somewhere. And where is it? She was, with Frank Marshall, who I think was her husband. That's what I was reading. So... she in 1982 she co-founded Amblin Entertainment with Frank Marshall and Steven Spielberg. She co-founded it. That's how long this fucking chick has been around. Pretty unbelievable. And not to mention, like, she's old as shit. So, like, how did somebody so long in the tooth get crowned the fucking Star Wars universe? Like. Not that Star Wars is a young person's game. I mean, not necessarily, because it was when I was a kid. But shit, I mean, she's old, and it was like, man.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that they're trying to kick her out as well. Do you know if that's true? I would love it.
I had read that, but I mean, how long do you read? I've read that for like 2 years now, and nothing's become of it. So. But it's like, if they were to turn around and been like, hey, Steven Spielberg, you're going to be the head of Star Wars, right? And he's like, yeah, give me Star Wars. I would not feel good about that, right? Like, what is Steven Spielberg going to add to it? Because, I mean, he's like, he just passed his prime. He hasn't really done anything good, and I can't even tell you how long, right? And I would have he's not even directing movies anymore. And so this girl, I mean, she's a little bit younger than Spielberg is. But I mean, that's the era she grew up with. She founded Amblin. She was making E.T. and fucking Indiana Jones. And like, I mean.
But the new Indiana Jones is going to be so good. What are you talking about? I'm so excited how great that's going to be.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Wikipedia, graduated, high school in California, went to San Diego State, majored in telecommunications and film. She gained employment at a local TV station in San Diego.
And now we can never get rid of her.
Spanish for whale's vagina. And she produced a local talk show. And then, oh, no way. So this is probably a movie that you never saw, but it was originally on HBO all the fucking time. In HBO's like birth years. She secured her first film production job working as an assistant to John Milius, who was the executive producer of Steven Spielberg's 1941. Have you ever even heard of 1941?
The year. I mean,
See what you did there?
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Well, no. 1941 was a fucking bomber. One of Spielberg's worst works. I think Belushi was in it.
I legit never heard of this movie.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so bad. And it was on HBO all the time. And every time it was on, you just turn it off because you're like, oh, this shit again? This thing's so fucking terrible. But that's how she got her start there. So she was executive producer of 41. I guess she married Frank Marshall. She started this shit. And now Star Wars fans are saddled with this bitch.
I was gonna say I'm shocked that she's maintained this position. I mean, do you have any hope for the new Indiana Jones movie? I have literally less than none.
Not really. I had a lot of hope when I heard that who was doing it? Mangold, right? Mangold was doing it. And I think he's the new producer and the new director.
I've heard the director's solid. I've heard, but I know literally nothing else.
But then I saw all the trailers, and I was like, nope, this is gonna suck donkey dick. There's no way that this is gonna be good.
Yeah,
it's gonna be impossible. It was like once you see the video, you're like, all right. They're talking about from things I read, they're talking about space and the space wars and going to space and It's enough. There's a de-aging scene that I think goes in the early stages.
That was more impressive from the technology standpoint. I don't know. Lucasfilms clearly does not know what the fuck they're doing at this point, or whoever they're handling. I mean, it's like the James Gunn situation before he got in charge of DC.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. One scene that I think just epitomizes what's going to happen with this movie. Mr. Jones stands up in front of a window and breaks out his whip and goes to defend, I guess, who's his goddaughter or granddaughter in the movie, and snaps the bullwhip at all of these mobsters. Who, and then he's like, back off. And then they, in turn, pull out all of their guns. Throwback to the original Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie when, the gun guy swings his, knife around and then Indy just pulls out a gun. Well, so Indy pulls out the bullwhip. These guys all pull out their guns. And then Indy ducks right before they all fire, right? And it was, no, I can't do this. I can't do these old, tired, movie, bullshit scenes, and it's not a trope. It's whatever. Cliches. Movie cliches.
It's a trope at this point. When they've done it for the 4 billionth time, I feel like it's very safe to say this is a movie trope.
There's 8 million guns fired at you, but you duck right at the right time. They blow. It's all right enough. But anyway, Indiana Jones to Kathleen Kennedy to me watching Back to the Future, back to Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that being the Star Wars of this new era. And how this derailed was when we were talking about Star Wars and this being their Star Wars, maybe trying to link it, which is not going to happen, I hope. But the quantum realm doesn't really work.
It's so stupid, dude. It's literally just their excuse to be like, and this is where the Star Wars happens, but they're still marveling it.
And so there's stormtroopers and spaceships and this whole. Do they explain the quantum realm, right? Because they talked about it, and then there was time element involved, and then in this movie they just kind of go there. right? And now it's like,
dude, like I cannot stress to you how literally the movie goes. Well, we want to be in we want to be in the realm now. We don't want to waste any time like pretending. And then next thing you know, 5 seconds later, they're in the quantum realm. It happens. It just happens so fast. It's just annoying.
well, I don't want to derail. I know you had notes. So you're talking about Winters. We're getting in the quantum realm. What didn't work?
It's all based on the characters.
And Ant-Man and Rudd and Winters try to solve it. Winters, Jonathan Winters.
No, Majors.
Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Winters is somebody else. Oh, that's right. We talked about that last time. He's the old dude from fucking old white guy comedian. That's right. Jonathan Majors. So, and we don't know if Kang's going to be able to hold up. But what else didn't work for this? So far we have working is the two actors, right?
That is the end. The next ones, the best after this is the best after this is your carbon neutral, basically, which leads into the other titular character, the Wasp. Like I already said this, the movie's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. She has maybe 20 to 30 speaking lines, which sounds okay until you realize this is a 2-hour movie. And she's supposed to be one of the main characters. Like she's in a lot.
Is she in all 2 hours?
Kind of. I mean, sort of. Like she's part of the plot, but not really. Like she just does not have anywhere near as major of an impact as the other guy, like as Ant-Man or Kang, or even her mom, who's probably the worst character in this movie, if not tied. Spoiler alert.
Right. Okay.
Her only purpose in the whole movie is at the very end when Scott's getting his ass beat by Kang, and then she comes in to like help him save the day.
Okay.
Like, oh, there you are. That's where you went for the last 2 hours. Cool, Evangeline Lilly. Like,
so
I don't know why they don't like you, but clearly, I mean that haircut also kind of stupid.
Why? Oh, she butchered her hair.
I don't know if it was even her. I think because I think the Wasp has that in. Like the comics or something.
What she did, like the short crop
the
top
short
thing,
exactly.
like the bob.
You did see the movie, cool. It's just
So
not my.
I can't see her with short hair. I mean that it's probably a brutal look.
You don't want to see her with short hair.
Yeah, no. But I will see it. Well, I mean, they did the short hair with her when she was wearing the wig in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second one, right? But and then she had long hair, right? Because it was like throwback scene. But anyway, so if I'm not mistaken, they go to the quantum realm because Kang pulls them in, right? I mean, these are not spoilers.
Oh my god! I mean, the person who. You're jumping ahead of yourself, man. The person who carries them in. No, so it's not that one. But I'm just going to keep going in order here because you
do your thing. You drive a little bit. I'll let you drive. You took these notes. I mean, you put some fucking heavy lifting in here.
Okay, here we go. The next character, he's bad. He's not carbon neutral, but he's almost there where he just doesn't have an impact. Michael Douglas as Hank Pym.
Okay.
I like Michael Douglas.
He's like a hybrid. He's not an electric vehicle. He's not an EV. He's a hybrid.
Listen, I like him. I
love Michael Douglas.
I liked him in the first Ant-Man movie.
A lot better in the 80s.
I don't know why he's in this movie. He technically has a role, but he does not need to be there. All he does is I think they just had a bet to see how many times they could make him say the word ants. Ants. I love ants. And then at one point he has this line where he says, socialism is a bit of a charged word, but we could really learn more about treating other human beings based on how ants treat each other because of socialism. And then like the movie,
really,
they play it as like a kind of joke, but like, dude, I swear to God, this was written by my college girlfriend with purple hair. Like it's just
we've talked about quite a bit.
The other one, it's just. They're all the same. They all bleed together. But it's like,
wow.
Do you not know? Do you not?
Foul.
Do you not know what a hive mind is? It's just like, do you not know what socialism is? Do you know what a hive mind is? Like, watch a 5-minute David Attenborough video. It is not that long. It's so easy.
Yeah, well,
And
I
for
mean that's our fucking society right now. So,
dude,
I'd love to give that crown to the women, but I mean it's kind of everybody.
it's such a basic thing to understand, and they're just like, oh, well, you know. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That sounds good to me. Yeah, socialism. That's what ants do. Yeah, because ants, they spread the wealth. They don't literally sacrifice each other for the. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It takes 5 seconds. I like maybe it's supposed to be a lame Marvel joke.
Is it like the rest of Disney right now, where there is some I hate the terminology woke agenda because it's just so overused, but
I don't even know
where it's like
if
it shouldn't have been there, but it was thrown in there, and it feels like somebody was like, I have to put this in there because this is not that we've been instructed to, but
it feels like something that a college kid wrote who there's that South Park joke, because I'm going to quote him again, where it's just like, yeah, we've been at college for a semester, and our professors really opened our eyes after this one semester. We understand how the entire world works now. And it's like that kid wrote this movie, and especially that line. And just like anyone in LA goes, yeah, socialism's kind of exactly what the world needs if we want to make sure everything works out. And it's like that's not that at all, but okay, I guess this is what we're dealing with. It's a quick throwaway line. It's clearly supposed to be a joke, but it's still at the same time just annoying because you know who wrote this movie, and the rest of the movie is just like, there's another character who I'm going to get into in a second, she's tied for most obnoxious. I'll just get into them now.
yeah, go ahead.
No, really quick.
Do you want the drum roll?
MODOK, no, that's next. MODOK's in this movie.
Oh, yes. Now, MODOK is not the version from the comics, right?
No.
This version is Yellow Jacket.
Yes, it's Yellow Jacket, which could have been kind of cool, but they play him seriously for the first 2 minutes of him appearing on screen with that cool helmet that you see in the trailers, and you go, okay, this is actually kind of sick. I'm excited to see where this character goes. All I'm going to say about this character, which is what my friends and I were saying the entire movie, is keep the fucking mask on, dude.
Oh, no, they take it off?
They take it off constantly, and you see this, I don't know what's happening.
Oh, no, I thought they kept the mask on.
It is off. It's on for, so if you take all of MODOK's scenes in the movie, and you were to take it into a percentage of what the mask on to mask off is, 75% minimum he has it off. And it is not good CGI. It is atrocious looking. I don't know what happened to Marvel's budget for that, but it's gone.
Oh, no way. That's what they did?
Gone. It looks like one of those Apple iPhone filters that you had when I think in 2007 when everyone would do that weird thing that squished their face down. Do you know what I'm talking about? I feel like everyone was doing it back
no, I'm looking at a picture right here. And so
it's constantly, dude, and he's just played as a joke. The moment he takes his helmet off, all seriousness of the character is gone. He is a joke character. Everyone's making fun of him. It's just any gravitas he had for that hot second completely
look
evaporates.
At that.
Yeah, it looks so much worse in motion, and it's in motion all the time in the movie.
I actually, when I heard everybody bitching about MODOK, I thought they were complaining because of the non-picture, the non-human face. And the fact that
it is 100, the mask, I wish they kept it on, because if he was just this
I thought that was the complaint.
cyborg,
but now that you say this, I'm like, whoa, no, they did do a human face.
It's
and I just pulled it up.
movie.
It looks comical.
It looks, because he's just a joke character, and it's because the first little bit, this movie, you could have just tweaked a few scenes.
Oh, his whole thing is jokey? They didn't go a serious route?
No, he was serious for the first 2 minutes he's on screen, and he's actually a threat and kind of cool. And the moment he takes his helmet off, his entire character changes, and he is a complete joke from then on.
Oh, really?
It's so
Does he has the short arms and the short hands?
Yup. And then they show his butt at one point, which I wish was a joke. But
no,
they show his butt.
Really?
It's like a childish joke, dude. It's just disappointing because he could have been really cool. Like if you even showed his face for like a brief second to be like, this is what he looks like now, but instead it just turns into he's a freak.
Oh,
This is what you deal with.
I'm looking. I can't get over this picture. I thought they kept his mask on the whole time, and they don't. And it's the actor, whatever his name is, Corey Stoll. And that looks terrible.
It's atrocious, dude. It's atrocious. The anyway,
Yes.
he's not even the worst part. Let me just get into these two characters that I could not stand, because this movie should not have been Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It should be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Gaslight Mania.
That's the new name, Gaslight Mania.
So I'm just gonna do Janet Van Dyne first. That's like the original Wasp, Michelle Pfeiffer. I saw a review that said she did her best with what she had. Did she really? Because, like, I'm sorry, she had so much fucking plastic in her face that she could have been a Barbie doll. Like if there was any more Pfeiffer, like if she had any more Botox in her face for this fucking movie, like you could have qualified this for a stop motion film.
Oh man, when I see her, she kind of looks good here and there. Now,
dude, she made this one face with like the lips pursed the entire time. Like that was oh my god, Hank, we need to make sure that we can stop Kang the Conqueror from taking control of the galaxy. That'd be such a problem.
she still thinks she's doing fucking Quaaludes with
dude,
Tony down in Miami.
It's so weird. And then the beginning of the movie, her and the other character I'm going to talk about in a second, they're making fun of Scott Lang. They're like, "What have you done for the world recently, Scott?" And it's like, didn't he save the fucking world? Like, wasn't he the character that had the biggest impact on Avengers Endgame, and you're critiquing him? Like, she's just being a bitch. The whole plot could have not happened. So the backstory, she helped out Kang the Conqueror in the past, but then she touched this computer that she was helping him fix when he was banished to the quantum realm. But when she touched the computer, which is connected to his brain somehow, this let her see his memories, and she was like, oh, Kang the Conqueror is a bad thing to be. Oh, jeez. So then she like sabotaged his technology so it wasn't at like the full ability that it used to be. And then she tried to, just kind of run away and start a rebellion against him, all this other stuff. But she knows all of this. She gets transported to the regular world. She's been for a couple of years at this point.
Sure, right.
And she tells no one about Kang. Meanwhile, Hank and Cassie, which is Scott's daughter, who's the last and probably most annoying character in the whole movie, they're working on a project doing stuff with the quantum realm like before the movie starts. And she's like, "You were working on something with the quantum realm? Why didn't you tell me?" What?
Yes, I did read this story that
I've been back for 6 years, and no one, like, I forgot to tell you about the genocidal maniac that was locked away if you simply press that button in our basement. Oh, whoops. Oh, my bad. I completely blanked on that. That was we're going to call that a whoopsie, you guys. But it's so dumb, dude. It's so dumb that she has, like she could have easily explained everything away in the plot, but then she just has to be so fucking mysterious with her pouted lips the whole movie to prevent anything from happening. And then she's, of course, a rebel. Everything would have been preventable if this bitch just told her family that there was this insane person just living down here in this crazy world.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read, all of that also happens extremely quickly in the front end of the movie.
It is like 5 minutes, and then they're in the quantum realm while they go. Scott is just like, "Hey, this is what life's like now after saving the world. It's pretty good. I wrote a book, pretty happy with myself, love my family, trying my best for them." And then people are like, "Wow, Scott, you're not trying hard enough." And then they go into I'm just going to get to the last character. So Cassie Lang, worst character. She you win the award, worst character in the movie.
Awesome. Good for you.
Congratulations, Catherine Newton, where Catherine is spelled in the most asshole way possible, where it's got a K and a Y. It's like, fuck you.
Does Athol KY Catherine end up becoming like a future MCU celebrity?
Yes, she is. So she's like apparently a character in the comics. So from what I read, so her character in the comics, she basically gets the same powers as Ant-Man and her dad, where she has like a suit that can grow and shrink.
Got it. Okay.
But like, what's supposed to happen in the comics is Scott dies, and then she like kind of inherits it after that. So kind of like an Iron Man thing, but like
yeah, I mean, it's the MCU's. Well, it's Marvel's like fallback, right?
exactly, yeah. But like this,
but then nobody buys the
works.
comics because nobody wants to see the new fucking characters. So then
Yeah.
ultimately they end up turning around and they reincarnate the old character, and that's how it goes. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, but it's a kind of a cool intro story where like, oh, my dad was a hero. I'm trying to like, live up to, what he did. But they don't do that at all in this movie. Instead, she's an activist. That's how they open the movie. And she's protesting homelessness. She's so the movie literally opens with her getting out of jail. She was arrested for protesting against homelessness in San Fran, which are just like, have you been to San Fran? Have you met those homeless people? And she goes in this whole tirade like, Dad, you just don't care enough about things that matter. Like these guys, they didn't choose to be homeless in San Francisco. I was fighting against the bigoted cops for not caring enough. And I'm just like, have you met homeless people in San Francisco, writers of this movie? Because clearly not.
See, I saw the future follow-up to this where she's in Hill Valley shaking a fucking... She actually went back in time to 1955, and she's going, save the clock tower! Save the clock tower!
It's wild. It's wild. But so she's an activist protest against police, and then she's like, she and Janet are given Scott, who once again, in this universe, I don't know why this happened in She-Hulk. These are characters who saved the fucking universe. Like they literally, like their half of the universe was gone, and then their direct actions brought everybody back. And for whatever reason, they can't get no respect. They can't get no respect.
They should be called
no respect.
They should be at Dangerfields doing fucking
Exactly.
HBO half-an-hour comedy.
Yeah, they can't get no respect. But like, they're just gaslighting him constantly for not doing enough, and you're just like,
Who is though? Society?
No. It's his daughter, who's like this annoying teenager, which I guess like is kind of her arc in the movie. She's an annoying teenager, but then and Janet Van Dyne, who Michelle Pfeiffer's character, they're like, you're not really doing enough with what you could do, Scott. And it's just like, what the fuck have you done? You didn't tell anyone about this genocidal maniac hiding out in this fucking interdimensional portal you got apparently in your basement. And then not only that, but then the daughter also apparently has this fucking like she's been learning all about quantum dimensional portal making made easy bake oven style in her basement.
Yeah, she's like Riri Williams, where she's just like super smart past her years for no explained
legit,
reason.
It's every character in the MCU now. They do it constantly. I don't know why. It's infuriating that just every other character in this movie is like, yeah, I'm 15 years old, but I basically graduated from Harvard when I was 12, and I'm actually basically completely remaking these technological things from scratch here. It's like, you're telling me not one of these characters is like, yes, so I was smoking weed and I got called out for it in the bathroom by my principal the other day. Like, it's just such an overreach of where you can go with this shit, dude.
Yeah, well, I remember when they first introduced Spider-Man, and they were super stoked that they were like, oh, guess what? They're just going to introduce Spider-Man. They're not going to go into his backstory. They're just going to introduce him and, get rid of that whole thing. And that was like one of the only times the MCU has done that. Because if you look at all of these movies, they're all origin story based, right? I mean, one way, shape, or form. Or they're even like, Disney Plus has been nothing but origin story stuff. She-Hulk is an origin story. The Hawkeye one is the origin story of, who is that? His daughter, I forget who it is, that takes over the thing. Loki is kind of, it's not an origin story of anything. I mean, that's the origin story, I guess, of Kang, right? I mean, that's
yeah. I mean, Kang's the only one that really gets it. Yeah, but
I'm trying to think of what have been other. What If was a cartoon, but I mean, whatever. Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, all origin stories. Well, Thor, I guess, wasn't. Thor's
Yeah, but
origin story was
it's-
here on the planet, right? But
it's it's the dichotomy of just like you got this character who first immediately opens with her just like bad mouthing Ant-Man, a character you like, and there's something about when there's like a character you already enjoy, and they go, "Let's just make fun of them for no reason. You're not doing enough." That just immediately makes you go, "I don't like you very much."
gotcha. No, I
5
follow.
seconds later, it goes, "I'm actually a super genius." Did I forget to mention that? Because here's my pet project, my summer project I was working on in the basement with Grandpappy, which, by the way, also doubles as a portal to basically 1945 Germany, because that's where Kang lives. And
Okay.
you're just like, oh, you didn't know that the mass murderer was right behind this little thing?
Well,
Smith?
hold on. Are we jumping forward to the post-credit scene when you mentioned that?
No. This leads just to the quantum realm of the thing she was developing. Like,
Oh,
it's
okay.
just, oh, it's supposed to map out the quantum realm. It's just something we were just casually making. And you go, shut up. Like, shut up. And then Michelle Pfeiffer has her meltdown of, you need to shut this off right now. And then, magically bleeps back on.
Yeah,
And
Gonzo.
yeah, and then everyone's
Off to
disappeared.
the
in
quantum realm we go.
Now she gets a lot better when she's in the quantum realm. Like she's still a little annoying, and then she's just, she's just Ant-Man's daughter, and she's got similar powers, and she isn't immediately just amazing at it. Like she sucks with using the powers compared to her dad, and like he's trying to teach her. I know some people didn't like the scene, but I thought it was okay where he's trying to teach her how to use it. Like, no, you got to do this to use the powers properly. You're fucking this up. She goes, I can learn it, Dad. I know how to do it. He's like, do you really know it? And like that, that's on Paul Rudd. Like Paul Rudd made that scene fun, not really her. And
How was the scene where Hank Pym blames his wife for giving him cancer because he ate her box?
whoa, what?
That fell on deaf ears.
I was like, wait a second. I was like, what?
And boom goes the dynamite.
Listen.
God, Donald Trump's a Hulkamaniac.
I was referring to Michael.
I was.
Michael Douglas. Do you remember the Michael Douglas, Catherine Zeta-Jones story?
No, wait, what?
Oh, you don't remember that?
No. Whoa.
Yeah.
What did he do to my Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Yeah, well, he married to Catherine Zeta-Jones, and he got...
which, by the way, just a quick moment, just a quick applause for Michael Douglas on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely back in the day. Now she's a little fruity, but,
Dude, listen.
She still looks good, but she definitely not so. But
he
you don't remember
got
that
in there
story?
when it was most difficult. No, I completely. Wait, what is this story?
It's got to be, is it 20 years ago now? 15 years ago? Somewhere between 15 and 10 years ago. Michael Douglas ends up getting throat cancer or whatever. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's related HPV or whatever. And he starts, at some point he did an interview with somebody and he blamed Catherine Zeta-Jones. And
Bro.
yeah, Google it. Google the whole story.
You know what? Good for him.
Right. And so, and that was like a whole big thing. They were like, oh my God, he just blamed his wife because, and then you go into HPV and it was like, oh, that's how you get it. Okay. All right. So, and anyway, that was where that joke was supposed to be going, was where in the movie does, Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, blame his wife for giving him throat cancer by eating her box. But regardless, so the daughter's pissed off at Paul Rudd.
Exactly.
Because,
and then I don't know. I don't know why every character needs to be 19 and be smarter than Stephen Hawking. Like Peter Parker, like he's clearly a smart. What you need to understand is that the Marvel Universe is built upon. And you go, shut the fuck up.
This is the only time I wish you had video, like, so you can do funny faces of Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, so people don't know you're doing it. That's the
No, I
benefit
know.
of the
Yeah,
podcast.
it just
you
sounds
can
like,
deny
why is
it
he
now.
moaning into the fucking microphone?
Yeah. But it's just, it's just annoying that they're like, oh, we have a young girl character, or just young character here. How do we make people like her? Make her a super genius that just knows quantum physics at 19, like every casual person does. And there's just something about that I find very stupid.
Well, there
Like,
also is a push now to, like, not be cool, but to be smart. And I've noticed that in, like, a lot of media, right? Like,
But Peter Parker,
cool era
who's-
is done. Now it's like the smart era.
Yeah, but like Peter Parker, he's just because he's I think undeniably like the most liked superhero of all time. Like I mean maybe Batman, I don't know. But he's clearly smart, but he's never been smart to the level where he's developing a robot cyborg Spider-Man to cover for him. He's just been like he's decent at chemistry. Yeah, he's like an A student or something.
Well, in the comics, he gets a little more involved.
Yeah, but it's there's like a level of like believable genius in high school to yeah, so we made this quantum realm map that we can use to track the entire world while I'm making an Iron Man suit that's more complicated than Iron Man's. And you go, will you shut the fuck up? It's just
Yeah, well, I think the part about that I have trouble swallowing, right, is like, let's say Iron Man, for instance, right? So, Tony Stark, when we meet him in the movies, he's already gotten past that part. So, but he's older, so you kind of believe it because it's like, okay, I don't know whatever he did, but like he's huge, he's got this big company, he's loaded, he obviously was super smart. You see Remy Williams, right, in the most recent Black Panther thing, and she's like just literally like, like a high school student or was she college or whatever it was, but she's like
some of it.
Just like a random and then without putting, and I think you mentioned this in podcast way back, was like without putting any work or effort in at all, she just automatically makes a suit, and like you're introduced to this girl, she makes a suit, and now she's flying around like Iron Man, and you're like, you know what? She is super smart, I guess, but I don't even know this bitch. So like, how am I supposed to be committed to this character at all?
Yeah, no, it's wild, dude. It's just I don't know why, but it's every character. I feel like in the new Marvel, like all the new characters they're setting us up for the next like couple phases. They're all these just level of just completely unrelatable geniuses.
Or just like people that
zero flaws.
Like American Chavez, when they introduced her.
God, she's so boring.
Oh my God. It was like, who is this and where and what? And she's a main character in this entire movie now? This is nuts.
Yeah, it's stupid. And it's every single one of them. Like I get you're trying to have like a younger cast of these characters, but you're also just losing whatever form of relatability that made you beat DC. Like, there's a reason, like Captain Marvel, same exact powers. That's a bad example. But there's a reason Marvel was beating DC, and it wasn't because like they had cooler superpowers overall than whatever DC had. It's because like your characters were written better, and now you're just throwing that away, and that was super abundantly clear in this movie. But I mean, the characters were garbage in this movie. I mean, the way the whole issue, the plot issue gets solved is so like ants get sucked into the time quantum portal with them, which is just okay. And then the ants, because they landed in a different area of the time portal, they for some reason are able to they advance like thousands of years compared to everyone. Like what was a few hours for everybody else, they're able to do in like just a couple of hours.
Oh Jesus! Okay, so there's super smart ants.
There's super smart ants with cyborg parts, and then they just come in at the 11th hour and help everybody save the day. And you go, I'm sorry, what am I watching right now?
That's how they did it. They did it with ants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so ants are what basically win the day for everybody, and they're like, look at how great ants are, guys. This is so great.
They did it with some kind of ham-handed advanced development.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Factored into the quantum realm, which isn't really explained at all.
Yeah, no, it just happens. Like, and if you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
and that's the Deus Ex Machina that you were talking about.
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina. It just comes out, and you go, "What? I'm sorry. Can you? I need you to repeat that really fast for me." It's so dumb.
Well, before I ask any more of my questions, I want you to be able to get to your notes there. Like, is there anything else that you wanted to get to before I?
No, I mean a lot of it was just about the characters. Like we've been kind of covering a lot of it.
Cool.
The last little bit is just they got this because this is apparently like contractually obligated to be in every single Marvel movie now. You need to have a rebel group of some kind.
Okay.
And it's just like I've seen this character before who leads the rebel and who's part. Like some of the rebels were actually fun little characters for 5 seconds, but like the rebel leader. I've seen her in Obi-Wan. I've seen her in other Star Wars movies. Like, not the same actress, but it's just the exact same fucking character where she's just like, I am noble and I've been scarred in the past because I'm trying to fight for what's right. And, you know, obviously she's in the right. And this is part of what the Cassie Lang character does. She goes, Dad, we have to help these rebel people. And he literally says at one point, like, we don't know anything about them. We don't know what they're fighting for. Like, how do we know they're the right guys? Like, no, I know they're the right guys, Dad. We have to save them. And me and my friends were just joking as we left the movie. Like, so what happens? So Kang the Conqueror, he's deposed. Now these rebels are in charge of everything. What if they're like, yes, Kang is gone. Now we can finally bring back slavery and child sex trafficking. He outlawed those when he was in charge. And I was just waiting. Like, they'll never have the balls to do that. But it's just... I mean, that's what happened with Cuba.
Cuba. That would be funny. If all of a sudden Castro popped up at the end.
Yeah, Castro. Yes, we did it, everybody.
With
yes.
his fucking cigar and shit.
Yeah.
So they ended. All right. So, I mean, we've kind of... Let's start it with the good guys. Were there any send-offs? Michelle Pfeiffer?
No. Everyone lives.
Everybody lives. All right, because the big question mark was Ant-Man. They all thought Ant-Man was going to die.
Because that's like part of the comic book lore, and he has a scene where he's basically ready to sacrifice himself to stop Kang, which would be, I think, a great, like, I mean, as average as the movie was, like, that'd be a great opening for Kang, where he fucking kills Ant-Man in his first showcase. You know he's a threat, like, they stop him, but at the cost of an Avenger, like one that you liked. And now you have, like, Cassie Lang, who's kind of annoying to her dad, but now she's got a, she's going to carry that onward for some other Marvel. Like, there's some stakes now. Now you got to go, oh, shit, this guy means business, and there's a bunch more just like him, and to kill one of them, you basically have to sacrifice a seasoned Avenger, even if he's not, like, the best one.
Yeah, well, you don't want to do that in this movie because you're definitely going to do that probably in, like, Avengers, either Kang Dynasty or the Secret Wars, right? Because, like, that's where they'll do the send-off for him. They'll give him, like, 2 more years of milking the clock, and then
being Paul Rudd, doing his Paul Ruddiness.
Right, and then they'll piece him out. So nobody dies except for Kang, but then again, there's 8 million Kangs, and this is like
so
the
it's
bad
like,
Kang.
Is he dead now? Is he?
Right. That never... let's see. In report. So... All right, send-offs, there are none. Kang, maybe.
No. Michael Douglas, even, who does nothing in the movie, he could have just, hung out. Maybe he could have died. Like, have something in there, and instead the movie ends with everything going immediately back to the status quo. And, like Scott's like, oh, there's a bunch of other Kangs out there. I wonder if I should be worried about this. And then they show the post-credits scene of all the Kangs grouped up and like, all right, let's fuck some bitches up, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, like, to me, it wasn't getting me as excited for Kang as me going, he's a cool character, but this ocean of a movie around him is just so lackadaisical. And I think this is clearly now the standard of Marvel movies than it is the exception.
Right. So where do they go from here? So, did you watch the post-credit scenes?
Yeah, I mean, I only saw where there might have been 2, but I mean, I didn't want to watch it. It's just, I watched the one. I did my job. I watched the one where they show all the Kangs. I'm hoping the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is good. They were showing a lot of stuff for that while I was waiting for the movie.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 looks like it is going to be okay. And then, I'm sorry, just as I derailed here and completely just fucking flushed this down the toilet here. I just got it was a work thing that came through in the middle of what time is it right now? My boss, she wrote 9:15.
Isn't that great? Yeah, your
bed.
day's wrapping up. You're like, finally, now I can do whatever I want to do today. And your boss goes, oh, no, you can't.
Like, come on, go to bed. We'll deal with it later.
Who do you think you are? Yeah. Wanted to hang out. Fuck out of here.
So how does Kang factor into post Ant-Man Quantamania? Right? It's the other it's just you don't quite know then?
I don't. I mean, he's not going to be in the new Guardians movie, clearly, because I think they already basically announced the villain for that.
Because this Kang is now gone.
Yeah,
And
he's
so
gone,
the
which
Kang
is-
that's going to come through later
Well, it
is
sounds like it's going to be a group of them. It's just going to be John Majors talking to himself on a green screen, which sounds very depressing. And I don't know. I don't know.
Do
What
they
want to do
introduce
about
you to the Conqueror or no?
He was the Conqueror. The one in this movie who dies is the Conqueror.
He is the Conqueror one.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the main one, and they're just like, we don't need him anymore.
Do they introduce you to any of the other Kangs?
Kind of. They're like there for 5 seconds, but they don't like get too specific. Like they just like, here's Kang in an ancient Egyptian pharaoh costume.
Oh,
Here's
they
Kang
do that
looking
whole
like
thing.
Cyborg. Yeah, here he is looking like Cyborg from the Justice League movie.
Do they explain the time jumping and him going back into time and
Dude, barely. You're giving more thought to this than the writers of the movie, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go in and you read anything about the character, you find out, like we mentioned, I think he was friends with Reed Richards at one point. But anyway,
Who? He's not a character. What are we talking about?
did they introduce? All right, so let's
No,
just get off
it's
Kang. There's
all-
nothing else.
except
Are there
for-
any
except for
cameos?
Kang. No, except for Kang. I think it was just the Ant-Man crew.
It's just the Ant-Man crew, huh?
I don't think there was anybody else. Yeah, it was them. MODOK was there. That was it.
MODOK die off or no?
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. He sacrifices himself. Oh, I forgot to mention that. So him and Cassie fight, and the way he turns good, kind of at the end, is
They did a redemption with him?
like a kind of one where she's like, I don't know what to do. Kang's mean to me. She's like, just don't be a dick to people. And he goes, oh, I never thought of that. And then he screams to like stop this like giant force field Kang built. He's like, I'm not gonna be a dick. And he's like, which would be funny, but at the same time, you're just like, you're bemoaning the potential coolness that character could have had. Because like they just can't have anything be cool anymore. They needed to just have like be a stupid joke that I wrote when I was in high school.
Oh, that's too bad. That's a shame. But I mean, I think the biggest deflating aspect of this conversation that I have right now is that the Kang aspect of it doesn't really seem to have led to anything. Other than, like, you've met Kang, now he's dead, he'll have to reappear, or it'll just be one of his other Kangs. Mm-hmm. So now, if there is the Kang dynasty, unless it's a red herring, right? And maybe Kang isn't the big bad at the end of this thing, and they're just going to, because they've just said that the title was, Kang Dynasty. What happens if they turn around and they're like, no, it's actually Secret Wars 1 and 2, and we lied about the Kang Dynasty?
Dude, I don't even want to watch that one. That one, like, I remember those comics with like the scrolls or whatever, and that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how they salvage this.
It's Secret Invasion, right? That's the one where it turns out there's been aliens or something the whole time.
Well, no, there's Secret Invasion and Secret Wars, right? So Secret Wars was
for people that don't know what we're talking about. Those, if you had the displeasure of watching Captain Marvel, because that was not good. There's aliens that can shapeshift to look just like people, because of course they can.
Called the Skrulls,
which is a great name. Yes. And then I think the plot is they've basically been infiltrating like parts of the government for years or something. That was the idea.
Yeah, and there's going to be a Secret Invasion show on Disney Plus featuring Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Tired. And we'll wrap it up shortly, but that's going to be Secret Invasion.
more about Marvel at this point, dude.
I know.
You're just like, I'm so tired. So tired today.
But to answer your question, Secret Wars was, at the time, Mattel owned the rights to the and you Google it, and some of this I'm trying to do off the top of my head, is that Mattel owned the rights to the Marvel toys. And this is before Marvel was owned by Disney, before Marvel was even incorporated. Because remember, Marvel was an actual traded stock. Like it was an incorporated company before Disney bought it. But this is even before then. So Mattel owned the rights to the figures, and they were like, dude, we need something to, put some juice into this. So we need to do something something. So we've got to come up with some kind of big event where we can do toys off of it. And somewhere along the lines, they were like, well, what if we turned Spider-Man into an all-black suit? And they were like, we love it. How are we going to do it? Oh, we're going to do it in this series called Secret Wars. We're going to make up a character called the Beyonder. I think the Beyonder was his name. And basically, he's going to take all of the Marvel superheroes and going to put them on these worlds and have them fight each other. And they're going to be called battle worlds. And then, all these good guys are going to fight good guys and bad guys are going to fight bad guys. And everybody's going to fight each other. And then in the process of it, they introduced the black Spider-Man suit. And everybody was like, wow, that's super cool. And that ultimately became Venom because after they were done saying like, oh, well, what are we going to do with this now? Because we want to return him back to his blue suit. Oh, well, we'll make a whole separate character. We'll say it's a symbiote, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the whole Secret Wars thing, and that is ultimately what they have lined up, I think, before Kang Dynasty or either after Kang Dynasty.
Dude,
it's
there is just a level. There's just a level where they lose me. I think, they've clearly already reached it. Like, the quantum realm and stuff is so stupid.
Well, I could see. Now, we have multiple universes. That was started by Kang.
That's already so exhausting.
Like, it is.
Multiple universes with the Marvel stuff. And I feel like multiple universes is just like it's like zombies were 10 years ago and kind of now, where you just see them everywhere. Like, everyone's going, we can have the same actor, but we say this one's a completely different character because he's a different universe. Cha-ching! Let's do it.
Well, oddly enough, if you were to think about how Disney could continue on Marvel for another 20 years, the Secret Wars comes into play because Secret Wars ends with a quote-unquote, ready for it, incursion event. And so the incursion events are typically used in comic books to crash the different universes into each other and then produce a new third universe.
Boo.
Yes.
Boo. Boo.
So,
boo. So much boo.
I'm seeing something along the lines of rolling in the X-Men late into this, rolling in Miles Morales late into this.
Okay, Miles Morales, I'm excited for it.
Right. I'm excited for it. I should yawn. And then doing an incursion event where they smash everything together, and at the end, maybe Tom Holland exists, maybe he doesn't. Miles Morales is there. The X-Men are there. The X-Men are now in the same world. Maybe they flip over, Captain America to a new actor, Iron Man to a new actor, and they just flip it all around and they start over.
At what point do they actually open my mouth and force feed these movies down my throat? I'm just curious.
They're doing it now. Let's be honest. Come on.
It's just like we went from believable, okay, not believe, but
No, I got you. I'm with you.
Like a reasonable level of suspension of disbelief where you're going, okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, he's got this suit. Okay, super soldier. What's his superpower? He's just a little stronger and faster in World War II. Other version of Nazis. Okay, cool. Can wrap my head around it. Oh, there's these super special gems they're not going to explain. Awesome. And then now it's just, this is why no one liked Thor 1, dude. It was so stupid.
I'm not gonna lie. I like Thor 1 only because that was the introduction of what's his face as Thor.
We all like Natalie Portman. It's cool.
Yes, that's right. It was her introduction too. But no, Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I thought. Seeing that character on screen for the first time, I thought was fucking awesome. Even though the story itself stunk and everything else about it stunk, I thought seeing him on camera the first time was awesome. So I don't hate the first Thor movie. I hate the second Thor movie. Oh, that was fucking hot shit.
Yeah, that was a hot waste of time.
But so at least here to bring it all back, let's screw down the road in Ant-Man or not Ant-Man, but Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty. This movie doesn't really feel like it accomplished anything.
No.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's not true. It was there.
It was there. Right?
It was there.
But that's weird because
they showed us Kang, and that was basically what the movie did. They accomplished that very small goal.
That's so weird because they made it seem like it was going to be so much more.
Well, it's because they're going to show Jonathan Majors, I feel like, constantly, and that's what they're going for, which is cool because I liked him. Like, once again, he was one of the parts of the movie I liked, but it's just like whatever they're doing to this movie franchise as a whole now at this point, it's not working, and I just do not have a lot of hope for it.
Yeah, well, originally we had and we've covered a lot of this, but they did the origin stories, plus at the same time they were introducing all the different Infinity Stones, and you kind of knew where it was going to go, and you waited to see Thanos until the very end, and because remember there was that disjointed part in the original Avengers when they show Thanos at the end, and they were like, to fight them is to court death, and he turns around and smiles, which makes no sense now. But,
dude, I'm getting look at me. I'm yawning talking about Marvel now. That's just where we got it because it's just like you think about it and you go, what are they going to do? I don't think Kevin Feige knows anymore.
But think about how stupid that was because when they first showed him, they said the court death thing like that was the whole Infinity Gauntlet story in the comics was he loved death and he wanted to court her. Like right, and so that was the whole part of it. And then they started that in Avengers 1, and they were like, you know what, that doesn't work, so we're just going to get rid of that whole thing and pretend it never existed. We're just going to say, oh, we showed you Thanos. So, but this one, as you're saying, left us off with nothing. So
I don't know what they're going for. I did like Endgame was just weak to me. I'm the one person out there who I think just did not like that movie, mainly because the time travel.
I didn't love it. I just didn't hate it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I just thought that one point that was just that was where I officially just saw the slide of, oh, they've gotten too weird with it. Like that was, even though this is Marvel where they're flying around in their underwear, that was their jump the shark moment. And every time I think they're about to get like to a point of, equilibrium again, these movies come out like Doctor Strange or this one, and I go, this is just not. You're not right in this track at all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, Return of the Jedi too, right? Like the reason that, Empire and Avengers Infinity War were so good was because you had those, from a hero standpoint, terrible moments of losing loved ones and actually experiencing loss. But in order to make that up, you got to figure out a way to overcome all that shit. And, in Return of the Jedi, they had no real answer for it, so they came up with Ewoks. And then, in Endgame, they had no answer for it, so they came up with just time travel, right? And it was like, oh, man, this is completely unspectacular. But, the unspectacular finish is kind of a result of the spectacular moment in the middle, Act 2, where you reach such highs. And I don't know if there's ever been a trilogy, at least in film. Has anybody pulled it off great? Well, you know what? Why don't we continue that for another time?
Yeah,
We're like a $1.30 here.
That's a can of worms, dude.
Yeah, I know. And Marvel's already got you yawning, and I'm a couple of beers in here, and at this time I can get a couple more beers in and probably get a movie in before I crash on my couch. So, with that said, why don't we punch out? And I don't know what we'll pick up here, but, there's a lot of ways we could go with the next one. So, like I said, same bat time, same bat channel. And I don't know, we'll continue it somewhere. Somehow, some way, we'll press on.
Yeah.
So
only 70 more Marvel movies to go before they're finally tired with it themselves.
I know, but thank you for putting in, fucking notes. Congratulations there, Will.
I did it. I did it. We're evolving as a franchise.
I forgot my outros on my same board, so I'll just fucking re-cue that as I went to go give you some claps. I'll just clap for you. Congratulations on doing some notes and all the rest of that. And congratulations on going to Daytona. It's something I always wanted to do. And I never did that. So
if it helps, this next weekend I'm going to Raleigh, Durham. So that's
what are you doing?
Not as a
Duke UNC?
Hanging out with friends. That's all.
All right. Yeah, nothing.
Just go shoot the shit. That's
nothing
all.
Spectacular or spectacular.
No,
it could be.
We're boring.
All right. Well, that's all we'll start off. We'll find out all your escapades down in Raleigh. I'm sure they'll be as exciting as Daytona and the 500.
Oh, they will be, but I'll enjoy it.
All right, cool. All right, well, until then, enjoy yourself down in Raleigh. I'll enjoy myself here in sunny Hohokus, New Jersey. So, peace out until next time.
Dog bless.